good to see you. It's a little later than usual. I understand people got different schedules. Mine's been a little disrupted, so I'm getting to you much later than I would usually. Um, but it was uh, uh, my birthday was last week. Be a week tomorrow, and I ended up going out. It's a place local for karaoke, and it was this chick putting out the feelers. I was getting vibes from her. I wasn't reciprocating, but I was like feeling like she was just like really just drunk as fuck. And her friend came up, asked, because I gave someone else they knew a coin because she recognized Anubis, the namesake for my dog, and she came. Her friend came up asking me for that shit, and then like the whole night they were just giving me these looks, right? Then uh, uh I was like getting up, I was getting ready to put in something else, stepped away from the table, and I saw the chick come up and just take my backpack, just like take it and just like walk over. It was like unzipped, um, and then they walked over to uh to their table to just like and then I was like, what are you doing? I went over to get myself. She was like, sorry, I was just like looking at him. And then she was just giving drunk speak instead of like answering what compelled her to just take my shit. Uh I was I was confounded by it. And then she just kept coming up I'm always wary of people who talk, who touch when they talk. It's just like I've been social distancing before COVID, like so people who do all that stuff, I just try to take a step back, but like, someone who just robbed me and then she just doing all this and I was like, when I was watching her take my shit, I was like, I was like right there, and it's like a big bright lit up LED backpack. It was like clear as day she took it. I was like, was this like some what was this? And then like just still can continue to put out that vibe, and it's just like this explains why trust issues are so high when the people who act like they want to fuck you are robbing you, you know, or they setting you up to be robbed by somebody else. Um, but yeah, I was like, yeah, like it was just weird as fuck. Because after the whole catching of the backpack, she would still come over do all this. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? I'm just checking to make sure you didn't take nothing. Like it was, and she was reminiscing. It was like the someone who I mentioned in a previous video about this drunk couple falling out in the street, and the chick ended up wearing like a tube top situation. This chick had on one too, and maybe that they had the same hair. They were both totally fucked up, but they look kind of alike. But then they just like like you start getting into the features, just like stereotypical Caucasian. It was a while ago, but they had the same energy, and I was just like, yeah, that is wild. But then I've been seeing reciprocating characters, someone who um the cat with who was I was mentioning in a previous video, who I'm like fairly certain that this motherfucker is an infiltrator, like a one of those disruptors, like they send in to disrupt movements. Cause saw him, it was the craziest shit. It was a bunch of groups showed up. One of they had two um, meetups. One of them was run by a group I know. I was a little late for that one, so I missed the speaker. But like I've been to the other stuff. I've even spoken at some of their stuff before. But it's usually like vision, so intention, stuff that we can do to make it come to fruition, all that shit. But the group that came after, it was like uh, uh 4 or 5 of them had megaphones. And they first start using them. I mean, like I'm hearing, "Someone is a predator. Someone is a predator," and I was like, "Oh, I thought they were talking about the president," but then they're talking about this one particular person who's with them. I was like, "Who's in their group?" I'm like, "Y'all had a meetup. Like you'll put out flyers so y'all could just talk about how this one person in your group is a predator." I was like, it was this whole thing. It was not at all productive. And then the people when we start talking, the people who were talking about war, ending the war in Iran, and bringing the crooks who run everything into justice. They didn't have the megaphone because everyone was over in the corner like, so and so is a predator. This personal vendetta they got. Found out one of the chicks who had the megaphone. Uh, she was she I'm always worried when like the dude was trying to speak and they were just use the megaphone so he couldn't even speak in regular voice. They're like, no one wants to hear you. But yeah, one of the chicks who was doing that, he was trying to show some video that to their personal beef. I don't know what is going on, but the other people knew what they would see in the video. I saw the video of it was like some lady saying some foul shit. And I was like, is that her? He was like, nah, it's not her. I was like, I don't understand what's going on in your story. I'm sure that makes sense. I'm like, the fact that they were just doing all this shit to shut him down. It was like I was like, this shit just seems like an op because like they had uh, one of the people uh, who was there was like this pro uh, Shah, pro replacing the Iranian government with the Shah, the son of the Shah. And I seen these people on the news, and they said some stupid shit. But I'm like, it's hard to come across someone to say bold enough to say some of that dumb shit to me in my face. Except that night, I was talking to someone. I was just trying to, understand. She was talking about, the fuck the government. Uh, uh, they're doing a favor by bombing the countries and stuff like that because look at how oppressive their government is. I was like, so you want to be bombed? You're okay with being bombed by Israel, who is just like they had an ongoing genocide for years. All right, and but before the official genocide started, it was still culling of people. Through they had cute little nicknames for it. Thinning the herd. What was it? Trimming the grass. Um, they controlled resources. Like they've been killing people, but then they advanced it. These people are some of the cruelest, evil. It's just like the culture that they cultivate. They're indoctrinated in hatred, a lot like Americans. But Americans are waking up to the bullshit, which is a blessing. Once we can like turn that into a movement. But I was like, why would you call on some of the most evil governments to bomb your home? Like Trump was talking about ending they say 5,000-year-old civilization. That's like this tendency to keep everything 5,000 or less when it comes to civilizations, because we want to peg it to like this European expansion, like they had a part in it. But the Persian civilization is older than than 5,000 years. But you know, the, the there's been this uh, beautiful awakening. Like most people, they see the Iran stuff. I wear, I got it all the time because I celebrate Iran. Iran, man, I was only half kidding when I said I joined the military to go to one of those parties in Iran where they've got the Nipsey Hussle playing. I get whatever secrets I can get and give it to the grand leader. you know, uh, uh, but um, but this shit, she was like while we were talking, and I was just trying to like some of the stuff, like it seemed like when I made the whole point about why would you go to Israel for help? They got the genocide. She was just kind of like she had to pause because that kind of makes no sense. Of all the places in the world, all the people in the world you can go to for help, you go to the people who are going committing a genocide. Like, okay, Iran may have its issues. I'm not doubting that there were a fuckload of issues, just like there are issues in Cuba. Our government does everything to make the issues worse. Um, and all of that bullshit about, and she mentioned this, other people mentioned it. It's like they're killing their own people. It's like, yeah, the Mossad and the CIA, uh, uh, they paid agitators to go in there and they killed cops. They killed like hundreds of cops, right? And you look at how ICE agents are capping people who just have guns in the vicinity, or if they just drive off in a different direction, they can say, "I feel threatened," and kill a citizen. Right? Imagine if we had hundreds of citizens killing our cops, killing ICE agents. Killing hundreds of ICE agents. What would that look like? Right? It would be, the Iran. Uh, the world stands with you. Not the government. And but while I was talking to this lady, and it was the other people, one of the main dudes who was like yelling at her, I feel like they were in cahoots. Because while we're talking, we're calmly, I'm just trying to get this back and forth. I'm really just trying to get a sense of what, like how do you come up this this worldview that uh you should go to the most evil governments for help. Um and she was having difficulty elucidating like how she ended up there because like I just dismantled, like, even if you want help, you shouldn't go to Israel. And um but yeah, this dude took her sign. The dude who was yelling at her before, we were able to just kind of calm down and just talk. Like, yeah, he took it. He went ran around, ripped it up, and they were like, they were filming this whole shit. And uh dude, uh, um, uh, uh, he was just like, yeah, that's how we do it. After doing the show, I was like, dude, I do not condone it. She's holding her sign and she's just playing and I'm like, yeah, it seemed like he was there because he was making the big kerfuffle about this bullshit. A lot of the stuff they were filming was just made like they was to be like, see, look at these protesters, the people with the who you see against Israel. They're violent. they rip up each other's slogans, like they don't allow any consent. It's just like they have predators because the dude was being called out and he was admitting to be a member. I was like, it seems like this was a setup. And then found out because one of the dudes, he had like a full mask, but his face, it looked familiar, like the shape of his face. And I found out it was this one cat, or confirmed it was this one cat when I was coming back. He was like, yeah, he was like, he saw me there. And I was like, yeah, that seemed like some, like the shit that you would be associated with, not productive, there to, really make the movement look bad. Because he was the same one. He was like spitting on cops when we were having this one march. I was like, how's that productive? And then they had some other cat be accused of sexually assaulting some of the protesters. And, I don't know anything about that, but it was just like, it seems like they were trying to antagonize the police, and anyone associated with these people are fair game. Um, that's why we got to be strong. And that's, the trust issues I have of just, like, you look at all of your worst relationships, they probably talk to you like your politicians talk to you. Uh, they gaslight you, lie like a motherfucker. Um, like they tell you that everything's good. Oh, look at the economy. Look at the Dow Jones up 50,000. Why are you looking at children who've been sacrificed after being victims to pedophiles defiling them. Why are you looking over there? The Dow is up over 50,000. But yeah, it is with the Darvo deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. That's the tactics of our government. That's the tactics of the most worst toxic relationships. And we notice like an increase in those kinds of personality traits because we allow the government to get away with this criminality for so long. So if you are suffering from trust issues in America, the only remedy, not therapy. Therapy, that's like you go talk about your issues, you understand, oh, this is fucked up. No, it's some systematic shit, right? The all your most diabolical exes, they learned all of their traits from the government. And they only imitated the government because that's a recipe for success. Not success as in doing something purposeful and good and fulfilling. As it's just like you continue with this behavior, continue being a black male pedophile. Like you can do all the crazy shit that Lindsey Graham is into. And you know how the files, they use code language like pizza, beef jerky. It's like substitutes for child rape and human flesh and all that crazy shit, right? Check this out. Lindsey Graham, his Epstein letters, uh, they do the same thing for innocuous sounding same sayings for just disgusting shit. So his shit sounds like a uh, like an Instacart request. Like baby carrots, young coconut milk. Uh, it's just baby powder, um, uh, imploding rectum. It sounds like it's not like it's normal stuff, but it's even grosser than the pizza and the beef jerkies and whatnot. But um, yeah, but until we like really bring these kinds of people to justice, you're going to have trust issues in your country because the sociopaths of your society will acclimate to a corrupt system, and it's just like they'll do stuff to make money. And it's all kinds of people. They're like, I'll just make the money. Don't let the money make me. But if you're a shitty person at your job, you don't not take that shit home with you. So uh, if you're a warden at a prison, right? If you're a CO talking down to inmates, establishing your dominance over these people who are probably locked up for way less than the president's son has done, right? Motherfuckers who are locked up for weed, which is now legal, and you talk down to these people. I know for a fact 'cause I got multiple members of the correctional uh, institutes working in my or living in my family. So it's like that's why I don't like family events too much because they talk to you like inmates. They talk to their family like inmates, their kids, um, and it's just so like you normalize doing fucked up shit at work, and maybe a good check, but I think that shit it destroys the soul. And we need to accept certain industries, they just gotta go. Like we gotta figure out how to create something better. Like motherfucker, we don't need people flirting with people who they're robbing. Setting up motherfuckers getting set up on dating apps. I don't touch this stuff. Multiple reasons. Um, but yeah, no, it's um, they're adapting to a maladapted system. Um, but yeah, no. Uh, um, Yeah, so it's just dating is hard to be for that reason and so many more. Um, but yeah, no, it's just like I think it would be a lot easier once we overthrow the Epstein class. Like anybody connected to Epstein whatsoever, you were in office when he was in office. You got this pro-Israel background. It's just like if you're not for just saying we need to just do away with this weird connection between Israel and the U.S. Yes, they modeled themselves after us, right? That was like one of the creations of the World War series. Um, they saw what was working in America. Like, look at how they were able to capture this big territory and just like put people in little pockets and just kind of control everything. And it's just like we normalized America. It was over 100 and something years old at the time. Now we're at 250, falling apart at the seams. Just we got 300 and some odd million, like really catering to like 100 and some or something people. We're just their Uber Eats delivery people. Um, but yeah, no, but once we can establish our dominance, that we are the essential workers. We are the people who are required for the economy to continue. It's not like the people who are running this shit. People are making everything, all of the money off of it. They're the criminals. Um, it's a clip of Elon Musk. He's trying to shame this lady because she wouldn't say that South Africa's policy towards Elon Musk was racist. Because South Africa, they made it so that the colonizers can't own all of their shit. Um, Elon Musk is like, they won't let me use my Starlink technology in South Africa because I'm white. He was like, tell me that's not racist. It's like, dude, you your family got rich as fuck stealing their emeralds. Your family was just like robbing them blind, right? They started to just overthrow the apartheid regime. They started to reclaim what was theirs. Um, yeah, you stole your family stole all their shit, and you get mad when they just start. Nah, we don't want to use your technology. We will develop our own. And you look at how a country like Burkina Faso is doing since they kicked out of Western influences. Um, French and American, like they just started building their own shit, uh, building their own roads way cheaper than anything the colonizers were offering up. Look way more beautiful. They got solar powered electric vehicles. Like it is a sight to be seen. And it's just like, yeah, this is the power. It's just like once you just, you know, do away with this influence you develop with the you already have. And France, they're trying to kill Ibrahim Traore um, because he's just like the Thomas Sankara of the time. Well, they got their own uh, flavor, but it's just like it's a beautiful thing to watch. Um, but I think it was South African Mapanga. He was they were asking him, or they were talking about Ibrahim Traore, and they were like, if they kill him, he's like, that'll be the day I suit up and I go to war with these motherfuckers. I was like, I can relate. I was like, uh, wanting to go out. I was like, man, they gonna come for Ibrahim. But then I saw he had hella people outside of his establishment, like just waiting to be like to try to protect them. Like they don't want him to be Gaddafi. you know, um, and it's a blessing. People recognize, that's what leadership is. America, we have no leaders, we have rulers. These motherfuckers, they entitled as fuck. Um, You got people like Jared Kushner, born a billionaire, telling the poorest to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It's like, when I'm really struggling, I just got to focus, pull up the Rolodex, find mom's business number, and it's just like our problems are different. You ever borrowed a couple million from a friend or mom and dad? It's a different uh, life experience than most people. And yeah, and it's just Trump. He had the quote where he was like, "Yeah, I just borrowed a million or something from my dad," and just like, yeah, that's brilliant, brilliant. So you just and you think you're like you could become a billionaire naturally. That's why it's just like I keep saying it. Once we have the revolution, and I'll give you guys democratic process, figure out what to do with them. I think a lot of them probably should be leaving the country. We give them a tour, a justice tour. If the other countries don't kill them or keep them and torture them or whatever they're doing, I don't know. We just we trust their process like they trusted the current government's process. But the ones who survive come back, live a life of poverty, and yeah, and it's just a good amount of it is just seeing them suffer through normal everyday shit, but then on top of the problems of a full 9 to 5 job not really covering all your ends meet. Um, they also have the benefit of people talking shit to them because they recognize them. Like, weren't you the billionaire who tried to kill me? You forced me to get a jab, bitch. Made me lose my job. And they get to talk shit to them. That's why I would that's the pitch I always make to the guillotine people who want to kill them. Like, keep them alive long enough. Like, think of all the poor people who want to cuss them out. You'll be depriving them the experience. You know, that's all I'm saying. And yeah, until we have them in that submissive state where we have taken all the shit that they stole from us, we no longer fall for their Darvo tactics to deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. We end up apologizing, for calling out crazy shit. That's what that whole calling everything anti-Semitism is. It's like they beat you into submission. Like you call out, hey, these motherfuckers own all of our politicians. It's anti-Semitism, but they're not Semitic people. No, no, they are. Don't you know the history of the people of that land? That's her people. No, no, it's not. Why do the? I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about how they were chopping down these 6,000+ year old olive trees out in Israel. Um, they were like, they were trying to figure out why are they doing this, but then they found out like 60% of the colonizers are allergic to the olives, or is it, it's like more than half. And I was like, that is just so the sun rejects you, the olives reject you, but that's your land. And I'm not denying there were people there before, but they were not European. They look nothing like the modern day European. Nothing. All right, internet. Um, yeah, just wanted to update you. I was meaning to do something this weekend, but shit has it's been busy. Been working with the Shama Sawant campaign, and yeah, that's been a blessing, but it's been uh, an obligation too. But I've been fortunate enough. One of the dopest experiences was like one of the organizing events. we were it was like in someone's house, and as soon as Shama showed up, like first person she hugged that I saw was me. I was like, man, I felt like a pretty big shot. But but yeah, now she's running for Congress, and one of the fun discussions I get to have with people, because they're like, I'm done with all that shit, and I'm like, I get it. No, I really do. Like, and then, but they always just assume Democrat, like she's a Democrat. I'm like, nah, that's not her whole thing. She called out Bernie way before he sold us out. Um, she said he won't run independent, then he's just gonna like just toe the line for the Democrats, because they're not gonna let him get it on that platform. And sure enough, she was right. And sure enough, it's just like, if you are going to get anything done, you have to build a movement. Like when they were voting for a ceasefire when she was in city council, she was the only person to move anything forward. She made the a notion, and then no one seconded it. So I mean, then she built the movement, then they came back and then they did it, they seconded it. But, of course, it's little you can do on a city level. But I've always been a advocate of putting pressure on a company like Boeing, or wherever you are. Like, you could be closer to north of Grumman, or whatever weapons manufacturer, Raytheon. Um, yeah, so just organize, strategize, and bring them to justice. These motherfuckers are you just this is one thing I want to leave you guys with, just the absurdity of the American judicial system. uh there are more people who are locked up for feeding the homeless, doing the most Jesus-like thing, taking care of the most needy. There are more people who are locked up for feeding the homeless than people who were abusing children, sacrificing them, raping them, uh, doing the most heinous shit. um, there are more people in jail now for feeding homeless than Epstein clients. And when I say clients, I use that loosely, because like it's a lot of evidence pointing to people being uh, above Epstein. Like Les Wexner was like his boss, like he was organizing all this shit. But yeah, yeah. Until none of those people are locked up, right? It's just like Bill Gates, even outside of the Epstein stuff, he had all kinds of cases on sexual assault when he was working at Microsoft. Everyone was complaining about him. It was like a real problem. So it's like, even without the Epstein shit, this motherfucker is just like, he has this history of being a creepy pervert, um, and getting the people under him to do some strange things for some change, and then giving his wife uh, drugs after he catches something and gives it to her, secretly. That's why, once again, overthrow. Until while you have people like this being viewed as a good guy, a philanthropist, he's always giving it to the kids. Um, while you still have this current setup in motion, it is just going to create the most psychopathic, or I guess you would say sociopathic, because they're adapting to a psychopathic system. But yeah, and it's just like, the interactions I have with like the younger generations who've normalized this. I mean, some parents smart enough to keep their kids off of the devices, and keep them Amish for a few years. But most they're just like lost as fuck, like on basic shit. Um, yeah, so it's just like, and then like the something about like I start seeing trends when it comes to like what people are doing. Um, and I don't keep up with where they get these trends, but I was just like, they got to be watching the same people, like who just tell them to use the same talking points, mirroring or whatever the fuck. Um, but it just seems so contrived, and yeah. And when I start feeling like someone's just doing so, I always start checking my pockets. So I always feel like uh, uh, beyond the chick who I saw actually trying to steal my shit. I had other people who I was just getting that feeling from, like they start sizing me up, asking how much shit costs and shit. But yeah, no, that's it's a no go. But I will be getting back to a more reasonable hour. Um, I'll do a live, but I have been putting together some employee evaluations, rewinds over at Netflix.net. Go check that out. And it's also a musical surprise too. So feel free, Netflix.net, and it's going to be some changes over there, but you'll see it as you continue to stay updated. Peace, you silly geese, and be good to each other.